my beloved child. When you return, I do not receive you with a heavy gaze or with a hand raised only to condemn. I do not stand at the door to remind you of every step where you stumbled, nor do I hold you captive in the shame of former days. I wait for you in order to heal you. I wait for you in order to lift you up. I wait for you in order to wipe away the tears you have silently hidden for far too long. And when you step into my embrace, you will understand that you have never been forgotten, never been cast aside, never been considered too far away to return. I will place upon your shoulders the newness of grace. I will give you the joy of one who has been welcomed home, and I will restore within you what time and mistakes seem to have worn away. You will hear me call you by your beloved name, as though the distance had never existed, as though the days of wandering were only a long dream, dissolved beneath the light of mercy. What you consider small today can become the beginning of a great return. A sigh lifted toward me, a step turned away from the old path, a decision to stop before everything goes too far. All of these can open a new chapter in your life. Do not despise such simple beginnings. A mighty flood begins with a single drop of rain. A towering tree begins with a seed lying quietly in the soil. And a renewed life often begins with one moment in which you are willing to listen to my gentle call. I do not demand that you repair everything in one night. I only need you to sincerely turn your face toward the light. The rest I will do carefully, patiently, and with overflowing love, so that what you thought was damaged forever may be restored layer by layer, piece by piece, until your heart becomes fresh again, like the morning after rain. There are priorities in your life that were once disturbed by fear, by wounds, by weariness, and by the alluring voices of the world. There were times when you allowed temporary things to sit in the first place within your heart, and without realizing it, you pushed me into the background. But today, I invite you to put things back in order, not so that you may live under pressure, but so that you may enter the true order of life. When I stand in the first place, everything else begins to find its proper place. When you stop trying to hold everything tightly in your weary hands, you will realize that dependence on me is where you are truly strong. For the greatest strength is not found in carrying everything by yourself, but in allowing me to carry it with you. Then the things that once crushed you will no longer be able to control your steps, because you will walk not under the heaviness of loneliness, but under the support of grace. Remember the prodigal son who once went far from his father's house, thinking that freedom was found in a place where no one reminded him, protected him, or taught him. But when everything outside was emptied, when hunger and emptiness surrounded him, he came to his senses and returned. The miracle was not only that he came back, but that the Father had already been waiting, ready to embrace him, restore him, and rebuild his dignity. That Father did not ask bitter questions to make him hurt even more. He simply opened his arms because what he was waiting for was not an excuse, but the return of the child he loved. That story is a mirror of my heart towards you. I do not keep the memory of your stumbling as a sentence against you. I keep before me the vision of the day you are revived, healed, and welcomed back into the joy of your home. So, my child, pause for a moment and listen. Do not let the rushing current of life carry you away before you recognize the call knocking at your heart. There is a life inviting you to return, a light waiting for you to open the door, a true place of safeties, stretching out its arms before you. Not a place that lulls you with illusion, but a place that makes you live honestly, lightly, and in alignment with what I created within you. Choose the light before darkness becomes so familiar that you forget you were born for something better. Turn back while your heart is still soft, while you can still feel the stirring of grace, while you can still hear me calling you with tireless patience. I love you not because you are always right, but because you belong to me. That love does not change color because of your failures, does not run dry because of the times you lose your way, and does not close when you wander. I do not want to lose you. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever to me. You are not a passing accident in life, but one whom I have called by name, preserved, and waited for from long ago. You may have gone far, but you are never so far that I cannot find you. You may be weary, but you are never so weary that I no longer have enough mercy to welcome you home. You may feel broken, but in my hands, brokenness is not the end. It is the beginning of a new creation. Therefore, step into my arms, my beloved child. Let eternity become a living reality in your life. Let me restore what was lost, rekindle what has grown cold, reconnect what has been severed, and complete what you cannot accomplish on your own. Do not let my waiting become vain simply because you remain hesitant at the threshold. Step through. Come home. Let today become the day you stop running, stop hiding, stop delaying, and begin to live in the truth that you are loved, called back, embraced, and made new in my house, my beloved child. Do not wait until everything around you begins to collapse before you hastily turn back. Some warnings are given not to frighten you, but to protect you from a loss that delay could make permanent. I see that your heart is still holding on to something old, a memory that has not faded, a face that once made you feel safe, an unfinished hope or a quiet regret, clinging to you like mist that will not lift. You think you are merely remembering, but many times that very memory is holding you in a place from which I have been trying to lead you out. If you keep looking back, you will slow down at the threshold of the door I am opening before you. Some bridges lead people toward the living promise of tomorrow, and some bridges require you to step across with complete faith, without carrying the regrets of yesterday. I know there are things that appear very soothing, very pleasant, very suited to your weariness. They come like a gift wrapped in gentleness, as though they could make your heart ache less, worry less, and feel less empty. But not everything that makes you feel comfortable comes from my hand. The enemy is cunning. He does not always pull you away through violent storms. He only needs to move you slightly off course, to tilt the rudder of your life by 1 degree, and over time you will slowly drift far from the straight path you once walked. He does not necessarily need you to deny me immediately. He only needs you to become busy enough to forget to seek me, to neglect moments of worship, to grow faint before the call of grace, and to become accustomed to the presence of things that put your spirit to sleep. Then you no longer hear me as clearly as before, not because I am silent, but because outside noises have filled the quiet place where I usually speak to you. But my child, do not think that, because you have gone off course for a while, I will abandon you. I am slow to anger, rich in mercy, and my love does not change according to the instability of human beings. Even if you have ignored me, even if you have placed other things above my call, even if your heart has been distracted by countless things that seemed more important, I have not turned my face away. I still stand where I have stood from the beginning, not to judge you with coldness, but to invite you back with the gentleness of a father. I do not call you to return, so that you may become an old, weak, fearful version of yourself. I call you into a new life, renewed from within, enlightened by truth, and healed in the places you thought could never recover. You do not need to save yourself. You were never created to carry your own redemption. What I desire from you is a surrendered heart, a heart that stops before me, opens before me, and allows me to do what only I can do. Let me remind you of the woman who did not fully enter the land of life, because her heart was still held back by the old scene. She was pulled out of destruction, but her heart still turned toward what had been lost. A single backward glance became the sign of a choice made in the wrong direction. That story was not recorded to make you panic, but to help you understand that being rescued from a place is not enough. The heart must truly leave that place as well. No one can cling tightly to the past and enter the future I have prepared. At the same time, some doors open only to those who dare to let go. Some paths appear only when you stop demanding to keep what belongs to yesterday. If you keep longing for what has passed, you will lose the joy of what I am offering you right before your eyes. And I also want you to remember Ruth, the woman who did not allow her heart to be bound to the old land. When everything familiar had been lost, she still chose to move forward on a new path, without turning back, without letting regret control her decision. She stepped into a foreign land with almost empty hands, but with a heart open to receive a future I had arranged. It was in that humble faithfulness that her life opened into a new chapter, and what seemed to be loss became the beginning of a blessing greater than she had ever known. Her story is a reminder to you. Sometimes what I remove is not meant to leave you empty, but to free you from invisible ties, so that you may enter something better with a lighter, truer, and freer heart. My beloved child, do not build substitutes for me within your heart. Do not place your ultimate hope in human words, in position, in achievement, in applause, or in anything that can change with time. These things may lift you for a season, but they cannot preserve you in the night. Only my presence is steadfast. Only my voice does not fade. Only the foundation I lay is strong enough to hold you when everything else is shaken. I do not require you to do something great for me to smile upon you. I am not looking for moral performances by which to measure you. I am looking only for a true heart, a heart that knows how to tell me the truth, a heart that no longer hides, no longer decorates itself, no longer runs away. When you are honest with me, you have already walked halfway home. Today, if you can still hear this call, it means grace is still near. If you can still stop and recognize that you are tired, lost, and heavy-hearted, that is not a sign of failure, but a sign that I am still touching you. Return to the altar within your heart. Let me once again become your first refuge, not your last resort. Return in the simplicity of a child, instead of trying to hold yourself together alone, as though everything depends on you. I do not need you to be perfect. I need you to be real. I do not need you to hide your wounds. I need you to bring them before me. I do not need you to boast in your strength. I need you to let me be your strength. And when you do, you will see that the true foundation has never disappeared. It is still there, firm and deep, ready to lift you up once more. I am the unchanging God, the one who stands above every age, every power, and every shifting movement of the world. I am not late, nor do I depart when you think you are passing through darkness. I am the one who goes before you, opening a way through what seems impossible to cross, and I am also the one behind you, keeping you from being swept away. So hear me, my beloved child. You were not created to bow your head before fear, nor were you called to shrink back into the shadows of doubt. I have placed within you a portion of heavenly steadfastness, a flame not meant for display but for guidance. You do not walk alone. Around you is my protection, before you is my light, and upon your shoulders is the mark of my own hand. The door has already opened. The call has already sounded. Now is the time for you to rise and step through, not with human recklessness, but with the faith of one who knows they have been sent by the living one. My beloved child, let your heart settle for a while, like a lake becoming still enough to reflect the sky. Only when the noise grows quiet will you hear clearly that my voice is still calling you with gentleness and power. I saw you before you had form, when your days had not yet been named, when you still rested in the hidden embrace of beginning. Nothing that happens to you is accidental before me. The collisions, the delays, the moments that seemed forgotten have all passed before my sight. And even now, while you are still hesitating between crossroads, I am still at work. I am opening your eyes to see that what you are facing is not merely temporary fatigue or a few isolated events but part of a battle greater, deeper, and more real than anything natural eyes can perceive. Do not take lightly the things unfolding around you. The battle between light and darkness is not confined to distant scenes, nor does it appear only in fierce moments. It enters homes, moves through words, touches choices, and quietly tests the human heart in the smallest decisions. Sometimes it does not look threatening. It wears ordinary clothing, using weariness to slow your steps, ease to lull you to sleep, and delay to cause you to miss what I am preparing to give. The enemy often does not need to create great chaos. He only needs you to become accustomed to compromise, accustomed to silence when you should stand up, accustomed to fear until you no longer recognize that you are bound. Therefore, I call you to stay awake, not so that you may panic, but so that you may understand that you are living in a meaningful moment, where every choice carries spiritual weight. But my beloved child, I do not call you onto the battlefield merely to leave you trembling by yourself. I have prepared you through the very things you once considered weaknesses. The days of testing have trained your eyes to discern. The seasons of waiting have taught you patience. The times you were misunderstood have taught you not to depend on the praise of people. The wounds that seemed to slow you down became the places where I placed compassion and depth within you. At times you thought you were falling behind, but in truth, I was training you. At times you thought you were losing, but in truth, I was cutting away what no longer belonged to your season. At times you felt small, but it is precisely in that smallness that my power is most clearly revealed. Remember Joshua as he stood before the city of Jericho. Before him were sealed walls and gates that seemed impossible for anyone to penetrate. If he had relied only on human strength, it would have been a place of deadlock. But I did not lead him according to the familiar ways of mankind. I led him to walk in obedience, through circles that seemed meaningless, in the silence of faith, until the impossible had to bow before my power. That story is not only a trace of ancient days, it is a reminder for you today. The walls you are seeing are not the end. The limits blocking you are not stronger than my word. What I need from you is not panic, but steadfast faith, not your plan, but surrendered obedience, so that I may complete what I have begun. Therefore, do not be quick to ask why you must go through these things. Ask me what you need to learn in the journey itself. I am teaching you to recognize the voice of truth and the voice of fear, the path that carries life, and the path that only appears safe on the outside. I am teaching you to stand upright before what once made you bow your head. I am teaching you to walk without being held captive by the fear of loss, the fear of opposition, or the fear of being alone. For the one I send does not need to be perfect, only faithful. The one I choose is not one who has never trembled, but one who keeps walking even while their feet still tremble. And the one who carries my mark is not the one who always wins in the eyes of the world, but the one who does not give up in the storm, because they know I am still holding them. My beloved child, rise up. Let your eyes lift higher than the noises surrounding you. Let your heart be guarded by my peace, so that the sensitivity within you will not be dulled by fear. I have placed you in this time, not so you would shrink back in anxiety, but so you would become one who knows how to recognize the call of heaven amid a world full of competing voices. You will not enter what I have prepared for you in confusion, but in wakefulness. You will not overcome through arrogance, but through faith. You will not win by the sword of man, but by my presence with you. So when the signs of battle appear, do not waver. When the walls seem impossible to bring down, do not retreat. When you hear my voice calling, answer. I will continue to go before you, leading you through things your eyes have never seen. And right in the place that seems most closed, I will reveal that I am the one who opens the way, protects, and brings all things to completion for you. And you will know, not by reasoning alone, but through living experience. This battle belongs to me, and you are the one I have chosen to walk in the victory of light. My beloved child, I have always waited for a moment like this, when your heart is still soft enough to recognize the truth, when your soul is still clear enough to hear my call without turning away. Do not wait until every emotion within you becomes hardened. Do not wait until regret fills your chest like a darkness with no way out. What I speak today is not meant to weigh you down, nor to frighten you, but to let you know that the time of grace is still flowing. Every breath you still have, every morning in which you still see the daylight, every time you can still lift your eyes and sense that I am calling. These are all signs that the door has not yet closed. You have not been forgotten. You have not been condemned. You still have the opportunity to return in peace. I know there are times when you wonder whether you have gone too far, whether old mistakes still allow me to welcome you, whether the things you once delayed have taken away the path of return. But my beloved child, when your heart can still tremble before the truth, when you can still feel touched by my call, it is because I am still holding you with cords of unbroken love. I do not stand far away, recording each of your falls as a sentence against you. I stand near to catch you before you collapse completely. I do not want you to live in a tomorrow of too late regret. I want you to live in the today of response. For today is still today, and in today, my arms are still open wide. Do not think that returning is a small act. There are returns that change an entire life. There are moments when you choose to stop, recognize what you are losing, and step in a new direction. That is when your history begins to be rewritten. I do not need you to bring achievements. I do not need you to prove that you are good enough. I do not need you to present a perfect reason for coming home. I only need a true heart if you breathe out even one weak prayer. Lord, please lead me. If you dare to turn your face away from the old path and toward the place where I am waiting, grace will immediately run toward you before fear has time to speak your name. Remember the child who once left his father's house, taking all that was his and going to a distant land. He thought the place of freedom would give him joy. But in the end, only emptiness remained. When everything had fallen away, when the outside voices no longer answered, he remembered the old home and the father who was still there, never rejecting him, only waiting in silence. And when he returned, What he received was not a slammed door, not a long list of accusations, but complete acceptance, as though every distance had never existed. That story is not only about a wandering child, it is a mirror reflecting my heart towards you today. I see you in the same way. I wait for you in the same way. I open the way for you in the same way. My beloved child, do not think my heart changes according to the days when you are weak. When you are tired, I still love. When you are ashamed, I still love. When you want to hide because you feel unworthy, I still love. My love is not like the fragile relationships of this life, where people may turn away when you are no longer useful. My love does not run dry when you make mistakes. No distance you create can make me lose my merciful gaze toward you. Before you knew how to seek me, I already knew you. Before you learned how to ask, I had already learned how to wait for you with endless patience. That is why, even if you have only just turned your head, I am already ready to run toward you. Touch the broken places within you, and heal every crack you thought could never be restored. Do not take lightly a sigh lifted toward me. There are prayers that do not need beautiful words to move heaven. There are moments when you quietly bow your head, not knowing what to say, except the truth that you are too tired, too wrong, too late, and it is precisely in that truth that grace will find you. I do not wait until you are perfect before coming near. I come near to heal you, so that from brokenness you may learn how to stand again, and from hesitation you may learn how to trust again. If you open your heart, I will fill the emptiness. If you let go, I will uphold you. If you return, I will turn your return into the beginning of a new season, where sorrow will no longer have the final word. Therefore today, do not delay what you already know is right. Do not let your heart be lulled to sleep by hesitation. Do not think you have so much time that you can afford to miss another moment. The time to return is the moment you can still hear my call. The time to stand up is the moment you can still feel your heart stirred. The time to enter mercy is the moment you recognize that you need it. I have stood there for a long time, and I have not grown weary of waiting for you. So, my beloved child, return. I will receive you with unfailing gentleness, with arms that have never closed, and with forgiveness that has never run dry. Everything that has passed will no longer be a chain, but will become a milestone, marking the day you knew how deeply you were loved. There will be confrontations you think you must step into in order to defend yourself, to make things clear, to determine right and wrong by your own strength. But my child, not every battle requires you to rush forward. There are times when I hold you back in a strange kind of silence, a peace that does not come from explanation, but from trust. In those moments, you may still have enough reasons to speak, yet place softness in your heart, so that you no longer desire to do so. You may feel you still have the ability to react, yet I give you restraint, so that you choose not to be drawn into the whirlpool of argument. You may have a reply ready, but I cause your heart to understand that silence at the right time is also a form of power, for some battles do not belong to you. I did not send you to strain yourself to defend your honor, nor did I call you to prove your worth before people. I called you to stand firm and see what I will do, what you cannot do for yourself. It is in such quiet moments that you will recognize that my deliverance does not need noise in order to change everything. My beloved child, I am not found in the clamor that overwhelms the human heart. I am not present only in the echo of great events, in the shakings that make the earth tremble, or in fierce flames burning everything around them. Nor am I the whirlwind that sweeps away your calm through rumors, confusion, and sudden changes that make you feel you are about to lose direction. No, I often come in another way, deeper and gentler. I enter through a whisper, through a quietness filled with authority, through the moment you stop long enough to realize that I am there. Sometimes it is only a soothed sigh, a sudden thought that lights up, a peace that reason cannot explain. Yet in those small things, I am speaking to you. Remember the servant who stood on the mountain in the weariness of waiting, thinking that the Almighty would come only through the most majestic signs. But then he realized that holy power does not always wear the garments of thunder and storm. The living one came through a gentle presence, a call as light as morning mist, yet piercing the deepest place within him. That story was told not so that you would seek me in commotion, but so that you would know that many times I am nearest when all temporary noise has quieted. When your mind stops struggling, when your ears stop chasing countless mixed sounds, you will hear what I desire to speak, and what I speak always carries life, always opens a way, and always leads you back to peace. Therefore, do not see quietness as emptiness. Do not think that when everything is silent, I have gone far away. It is precisely then that I am doing the deepest work. I am teaching you to distinguish what is true from what is false, what must be answered from what should be released, what belongs to me from what is only temporary noise. I am teaching you to trust that true safety is not found in your control over everything, but in knowing that I am holding everything for you. When you understand this, you will no longer panic before sudden winds, nor fear the loud noises around you. You will learn to live more firmly, more deeply, and nearer to me. My child, if today you feel that you are standing among many voices, slow down and give your heart to me. If you are facing things that confuse you, let me make them clear. If you are being pulled into a battle that is not worth the exhaustion of your strength, let me keep you in the peace the world cannot give. I will teach you to walk with spiritual sensitivity, so that you may recognize danger while it is still far away. I will teach you to live in steadfast trust, so that you will not mistake noise for my voice. And I will teach you to love the silence, because in that silence you will hear my heart more clearly than ever before. You do not need to understand everything right now. You only need to trust that I am leading you, and when I lead, you will never be lost.